All right, JoeyRitter.com, on Twitter at Joey Ritter. Look who we have today. We have Peter Munters. Thank you so
Woo!
much for doing this.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, you play in some high-quality bands. You play in the band Runner Runner. You used to play in a band called Over It. Okay, but
Still do. Some things never die.
All right. Really?
I have to say so, yeah.
Okay.
We never closed the book on that one.
According to Wikipedia, it's done. It's over with.
What does Wikipedia know, man? Come on.
I think you should update that after this call. But all right, well, main reason we're chatting today is because you just released a solo album that people can get at petermunters.bandcamp.com. And by the way, how awesome is Bandcamp, by the way?
I love Bandcamp. I am a wholehearted devotee of the Bandcamp scene.
They finally figured it out. I mean, it took a really long time, but finally it's just so easy to upload music. It's easy to sell it. It's easy to integrate it into websites. I mean, there was a lot of websites that tried and failed, but Bandcamp got it done. So
the other thing I'm discovering is that some obscure artists that I loved during my like the peak of my musical discovery are coming out with, unreleased material and new material, doing the same DIY thing that I'm doing. So it's really cool to be able to connect with them and,
right on.
be alerted every time a fan purchases my music and interact with them directly. It's amazing.
Awesome. So your new album is called Wood and Wire, all right? And on your website you say it's been written over the last few years on tour and in between. So how exactly does that work? I mean, are you on tour and you have these good ideas and you got a laptop or something and you're playing some acoustic riffs?
Not even. These are all songs from the back burner. This is music. Well, let me preface this by saying that I've always found it difficult to write on tour, at least to finish ideas. I mean, I have music in my head every day, and I like to go on a lot of walks and ride my bike and stuff, and it's always at those moments of locomotion in particular that I get ideas, rhythms, lyrics, melodies just flowing through my head and my heart. So on tour, I'd always try to just find time to sneak away, strum my guitar, relax, warm up, gain some kind of equilibrium from the chaos of being on the road and trying to survive and give it your all.
Sure.
And so I had a lot of ideas that were just brewing unfinished and felt promising to me. So when Runner Runner stopped touring heavily last year, I had the opportunity to sit down and really get a lot of it down and finish them. So Wood and Wire is kind of the culmination of the first batch of that music that I was able to finish on my own.
Right on. So kind of compare writing a solo album versus writing with a band. Because I imagine with a band, you got to bounce ideas and get them accepted. And there's always guys in the band whose ideas get accepted more than others. But when you're doing a solo album, you call all the shots. Kind of compare the two.
Well, you kind of alluded to a great truth there. There's an amazing catch-22 that happens because when you're the only cook in the kitchen, especially when you're recording and mixing and producing and engineering all of the stuff yourself, you have to kind of endure an identity crisis where you have to listen with a magnifying glass but also let go and live in the zone creatively and just let the truth shine and put your best foot forward. So juggling all of those responsibilities and those characters and identities was a huge challenge for me.
Sure.
And I'd like to say, put this down on the record that I will never ever make an album exclusively by myself again. And I had a little bit of help on at least one track on this album, and I'm so grateful for it. The song "Light Me Up" I wrote and had the extreme good fortune to have John from Runner Runner, John Barry, produce it as well. And so he mixed that song, recorded it with me, helped me with it, wrote it with me, and it was amazing. And it was my favorite one to make by far. But the thing about the other bands I've been in is that we had an amazing circle of trust. Everyone was really creative. When we started Over It, it was just like an innocent banging away and slashing away at roaring guitars in Nick Bailey's basement, his parents' basement. And we'd all, send the music around and collaborate on it and just get to a point where everyone agreed, this is awesome.
Sure.
And similarly with Runner Runner. So, at times it's hard, but you learn to negotiate and trust the opinions of the people you're being collaborative with. And it's a special relationship that you create that way.
Right. So now I can't help, every time, there's somebody in a band that releases a solo record, I can't help but think, is somebody, is Ryan coming up to you and saying, you know what? that song "Make a Move" might have been a good runner song. Like, what's up with that? Is there ever anything like that going on, or are these songs like never could have been runner songs?
That's my general feeling, and that was a really hard thing for me to accept, because we were really lucky and got songs on the radio and had some success there, and in a way, it kind of poisoned our soul as a band. Like, we got caught up in expectations. We had huge contributions and money being spent on us from Capitol Records and our team. And I think that we kind of lost a bit of our original magic that way, just trying to live up to those expectations and reach higher on the radio charts. And as positive an experience as that was, I regret it a little bit. And so, you know, I've had really great feedback from the guys in Runner about this music, but I don't know. I don't know if it's pop. I don't really care what it is. It's just my chance to get it all out on the table, get it off my chest, and give something back to the people who care what I do, and especially the ones who felt that I was marginalized by that whole process and that experience.
The music sounds to me, and I don't know, you take this any way you want, it sounds very movie soundtracky to me. Like, it's just, it seems like a lot of the songs could fit in key parts of the movies, like movie montages where, you know, it's just people going like this, or people happy, having a good time or something. I mean, because I remember like a song in a band that I was in called Ritter, it was in a movie, and it just seemed really awkwardly placed. Like, it was during some party scene, and our song kind of just awkwardly was playing, and it didn't fit as well. But I feel like, you know, as I listen to this album, it just kind of has a movie soundtrack feel to it. Does that make any sense?
I take that as a really cool compliment, and as you say that, I realize that I think that's a lesson that I took in from writing with Ryan Ogren, who's the singer of Runner. It's something he would always say when we were working on music, you know, wait, I have a vision for the music video. See what you guys think about this. And it would almost always point the song in a new direction and help us wrap it up. So maybe that's something I kind of took away subliminally.
Yeah. Is there any plans to do any music videos with it?
Yes, actually. I'm going to be recording a lot of live performance stuff for my YouTube channel. And I have a date on the calendar, October 13th, to make a video for the song Love Like That with some friends out here who have a production team. So that's going to be really cool, and I'll be talking about it more in the next few weeks.
So you're going to be... Go ahead.
When did Over It play with Ritter?
Well, I was actually going to get to that, but I'll mention it now. Now, I have... Do you remember... Go ahead.
Sorry to be tangential. I'm having a stroke of memory that's, like, kind of fuzzy.
No, it's fine. So the year was 2005, and your tour with Tsunami Bomb?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I credit that tour and the Philadelphia show at the North Star Bar 99% responsible for my marriage. Okay, wow. So I met my now wife a couple weeks before that show, and she had mentioned to me that her favorite band was Tsunami Bomb. So basically, the only game I had was if you weren't into my band, I had no game. So I just emailed her, hey, I can kind of get you in for free at the show if you want. And, she came out. 7 years later, we're married, just had a baby, so I credit the Over at Tsunami Bomb tour, for that success.
Joey, that's amazing. Congratulations.
But, she did walk away with an Over It CD at that show, so. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So,
speaking of Tsunami Bomb, what an amazing band. I loved touring with them. They were so fun.
Yeah, I hear a lot of Tsunami Bomb playing as, house cleanup. It reminds me of cleaning house. So you kind of alluded to your shows and recording videos and stuff. Is the plan to just do some local shows? Are you going to do some touring off the solo record? What's the plan?
I would like to do it all. I think it's going to begin in town in Los Angeles. I have some sketchy, ambiguous plans to do shows with a circle of friends out here who are also kind of like singer-songwriter types, and we'll just take it from there and see how it goes.
Right on. So when you're recording music, do you have any rituals or superstitions, food you have to eat, drinks, any type of thing that enhances your performance in the studio?
Club soda.
There you go. Oof. Not a fan.
I like it bubbly. I'm of European descent, so I like my water bubbly. I don't even know if that makes sense. On some level it does. It's like
Sure.
an ethnographic thing.
Sure. So a new Runner song surfaced recently on SoundCloud, right? So what's the story there? Is it just you're just kind of putting music out to appease the fans? You got an album coming out?
I think yes, and that sounds kind of. I don't know if that sounds good or bad, but yeah, we definitely want to appease the fans. We want them to have something new. We have not disbanded, but we have all kind of gone our separate ways, and we're all working on independent projects and working on a lot of music. We've all stayed hyper creative, but there are a lot of songs that we wrote for a sophomore Runner record. And, unfortunately, our relationship with Capitol Records devolved and is over now.
Okay.
And we got out of that free and clean, basically. As free and clean as you can with a major label deal. But there's a lot of music that we continue to write and record on our own. So I feel like we'll just continue leaking some of those tracks and giving them away for free just to keep giving back a little bit. Overall, the relationship with the fans and performing was really positive for us. So
Right.
We don't want that to go anywhere.
Actually, I should have mentioned this earlier, but my first experience with Runner, I'd seen the name just from going to punk sites, checking out new bands and stuff. But I actually saw you guys on the Mark Hoppus Fuse show.
Yes.
And I'm just sitting on my couch, kind of like half paying attention, and I just jumped out. I'm like, holy shit, that's Over It playing. What's going on there? When did they change their name to Runner? What's going on? So I'm like going on my laptop, checking the website, downloading the songs and stuff. So, I was into it. But yeah, seeing you guys on TV was, the first exposure I had to the band. So it was pretty cool to see that.
It was so cool to meet Mark too. He was awesome. It was just really cool.
Yeah, seems that
really
way.
Kind. He gave John a bass guitar and
Was it
awesome.
Was it a Mark Hoppus P bass, Fender bass?
Oh yeah, Seafoam Green.
Right on. So all right. So you just kind of talked about your relationship with the record label, but your band was signed to a subsidiary of David Letterman's Worldwide Pants, and I know that you guys played the Late Show. Did you ever have any contact with David Letterman?
I heard him warming up on the staircase. The Ed Sullivan Theater has a really steep, 10-flight staircase.
Okay.
And his pregame ritual is to run up and down the stairs. So I was, kind of in a nook where I like to go before and warm up my voice and everything, get ready, get in the zone. And his assistant came out and was like, we need to clear the area, Dave's going to warm up.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I went down a couple more flights. I literally heard him just, flying up and down the stairs. And he's really spry for a man of his age. I was impressed. But other than that, we got to shake his hand in the moments after we finished playing, and he was really cool. But we haven't had any contact with him really. Other than that, he's kind of
he's the man of mystery. I mean, that's why I asked, because even super famous people that have done the show have done interviews and say he doesn't talk to the guests. He's real private, keeps to himself. Mm-hmm. He would go into his dressing room after the show, watch the show, curse at himself, and he just seems. I guess that mystery, you really wonder what the guy's like off camera.
All that being said, I will note that based on what I've heard from my relationships with people that are close to him, he's a sincere music fan and has awesome eclectic taste in music, and I think it's really well reflected. In the show calendar of the bands that he features on The Late Show.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, I just finished watching and gushing over the Bob Mould performance from Tuesday night. It was awesome, and his new record is so good. It's called The Silver Age, but he just seems like a really, really cool guy and a patron saint of the arts.
Yeah, to that point, when he had his bypass surgery and he was out for all that time, the band that he wanted to come back for his comeback show was Foo Fighters playing Everlong. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that definitely says something about his musical tastes,
Totally.
Did you ever think a band that you were in would ever appear on Now That's What I Call Music?
No.
You got.
Then again, I never thought I would get to leave Fairfax County, Virginia, and play a show for anyone.
Right.
Ride in a van with my friends and have the time of my life. I never thought any of that was real, and that was a dream to me. But one dream leads to another. I guess that's the beauty of life.
So take me back to the early 2000s. when Over It made their transition from Virginia to California? You know, was it a record label thing, or was it just like, okay, we need to go where the action is, let's do this?
It was a mixture of both. Our relationship with Lobster Records in Santa Barbara really drove that decision. Steve basically put it all on the line. He just said, you know, I'm ready to move with you guys. I'm going to support you. I'm going to help you get on the road. I'm going to make your records amazing, and we'll ensure that everything is done with an exacting caliber of quality, and I'm going to push the band. I believe in you guys, but you have to leave home. You have to get on the road. You have to play 300 shows a year, and I want you in California when you're not playing those shows. And we had been out there to record Timing Is Everything with Cameron Webb up in the mountains in Ojai, and it was an incredible experience. We were all enamored with California. We had a budding relationship with Staring Back and Yellow Card and Park, the other bands on the label. And it seemed like the obvious choice. So we confronted our parents and said, you know, we're going to extend our sabbatical from college and go for it.
Now that we're all...
We're going to pursue our punk rock education, and that's what we did. We actually waited for James, who is the youngest member of the band, our drummer, to finish high school, and that was the point at which we made this decision.
Gotcha. Now, were all band members on board with that?
Yep.
That's pretty hard. I mean, that's, you know, because usually there's always one that is kind of, that holds the rest of the band back, but, I mean, that's so awesome that everybody was on board.
Yeah, the story of Mike Campbell from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers springs to mind. He was already enlisted and ready to ship off to the Army when Tom was like, hell no, we're going on tour.
Right.
We're going to get signed. You're too good at guitar.
So, all right. So now, when I listen to, especially Silver Strand, I mean, that's like every single, I'm telling you, I'm not jiving you here. That album was freaking better than any album that came out that year, punk pop wise. I mean,
well, thank you.
So similarly to when a, you know, hot chick looks in the mirror, do you really know, does she know that she's hot? And my question to you is, when you hear your vocals, do you know how great of a singer you are? Or has it just been, you know, your voice and you can always pick out imperfections?
It's both.
Gotcha.
It's both, and I say that with the utmost modesty. Like, I've always known and wished and passionately desired to be the best singer in the world since I was a tiny kid. But that being said, it's a huge struggle internally for me. Like, I hear my voice and I feel awkward about it. I hear just imperfections that are absolutely not perceptible to other people, I'm sure. And I struggle with it. It's a daily battle. Every time I open my mouth, I just have to tell myself to let go and open up and sing. And that's the biggest thing. Like, you have to accept the imperfections as part of what makes you special.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're perfect, then it's over.
Right. Can you point to a defining moment where you just went from a kid that listened to music to wanting to be a kid who played music?
Wow. Man.
I'll give you some time on this one.
Okay. Man, you know, I think it was... I can't really pinpoint the circumstances, but I had a conversation with my brother, who's 3 years younger than me. At some point I was in college at the time. I think it was like 2000, spring of 2000, and we had just recorded the Hindsight is 2020 EP for Over It, and it was still like a very like raw, garagey punk thing. But he called me, and I was actually on vacation in Italy with my mom and my sister, and he called me on my birthday in Italy and was just beside himself. Mm-hmm. He thought it was a huge step forward and genius, and like he was like, this is what you need to do, like forget everything else, like I want to ride these guitars wherever they're going.
Right.
And just keep writing this stuff, keep doing this stuff. And I was like, really? Like, this is just like our basement hobby. Like, it means the world to us, but I never think about this going anywhere professional. And he's like, dude, don't take yourself for granted. Do you have any idea how much my circle of friends and everyone in our community looks up to you guys for making this music? Like, you guys could change the world, and I beg you to do it. So it was
that is awesome.
A turning point for me, and after that, I really started to take it a little more seriously and try to encourage the same spirit in other musicians and other young people in the music scene in Northern Virginia. And I really feel like Over It succeeded there to create just a fiery, burgeoning scene of pop punk, pop, alternative, like whatever, just young people making music. Bands like the Friday Night Boys and other bands, I feel like definitely followed in our footsteps. And I'm proud to say that. Like, we helped further a really amazing scene. And DC is known for, from the 80s as being a great haven of punk rock and underground music. So it's an honor to be a part of that.
When's the last time you actually played your hometown?
Oh, man. We had a show the last time we played in the area, and I say that term loosely, was at the Norva last summer with Good Charlotte and Yellow Card, which was amazing. And then before that, we had another show with Good Charlotte at the 930 Club, and I think that was October of 2010. So it's been a while.
Right. Well, it hasn't been that long. I thought it was going to be longer than that.
It feels overdue, man. I still have this philosophy, even though I haven't been on the road in over a year, that if you don't get back to a place in 6 months, you're blowing it.
Definitely.
You're down.
I agree with that 100%. What's the first song you learned to play on guitar?
Ollie by Nirvana.
That's the acoustic one, yeah.
I like string guitar, and it's a really ironically adorable song about rape, I guess. That one lyric sticks to me as when I'm perfectly best. It amazes me, the wicked instinct.
Hang on, I think we have a quick connection thing. Let me get back on track. All right. You there?
Yep.
All right, cool. Sorry. It's the kind of thing that happens here on Joey Ritter Live. We get these imperfections here. But so if you could appear on any game show, which game show would you want to be on?
Price is Right, but Bob Barker era. Sorry, Drew Carey. I love you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But a lot of people, everybody says how much they hate Drew Carey, and that's if you compare him to Bob Barker, sure, he's not. He doesn't even fit in the same building. But
it's an apple oranges kind of relationship. I think Drew is great. He's hilarious. He's witty. He's awesome.
Exactly. He's witty. He's always got these. He kind of insults the contestants in a way where he sounds like he's being a nice guy, and the contestants can't even tell that he's being sarcastic. And I don't know. It's exactly my sense of humor. I think that's why I like him so much. But I'm with you, Bob Barker. I mean, can't be touched, that guy. So
also, Wheel of Fortune fan. I used to watch it with my grandmother, and I fantasized about her going on the show because she kicked ass at Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
It's a nightly thing for us.
That's my wife's really good at Wheel of Fortune, and I'm terrible. And it's very frustrating, especially when she's better at something than me. And Wheel of Fortune,
Amen. That's why you married her.
Exactly. So, all right, we do a crazy segment here on Joey Ritter Live called "Turn It Up or Turn It Off." Basically, I name 5 songs, and you simply tell me if you turn it up or turn it off.
Okay.
All right? The first song is Ants Marching by Dave Matthews Band.
Turn it up?
Well, they're from the same state, right?
Yeah, Charlottesville.
You got to give it up for them.
Turn it up in the car really loud if the wind is blowing and you're going 70 miles an hour. Maybe keep it at a decent volume if you're in your apartment.
Right. Break on...
is with me, definitely turn it up because she loves Dave Matthews.
Good. Break On Through by The Doors.
Turn it up.
All right.
No, People Are Strange is by far my favorite.
Yep. That's didn't somebody do a cover of that recently? I kind of remember hearing that on the radio.
There have been a few, but I discovered that song in the Lost Boys soundtrack, and I've loved it ever since.
We talked about soundtracks before. There really hasn't been, a really good soundtrack recently. Soundtracks used to be a big thing for songs, Ghostbusters and Back to the Future, Power of Love kind of thing. And you just don't see that today. I think it sucks. Actually, this next song is part of a soundtrack. Stay by Lisa Loeb and 9 Stories.
Turn that up.
Turn it up.
Lasting.
See, a lot of these songs, like Ants Marching and Stay, when they were out, I kind of didn't want to admit that I liked them, but now that I'm older, I'm all about them.
You know what's funny? Ants Marching definitely falls in that category for me. When Dave Matthews exploded on the scene, I had my first pop punk band. It was called Joey's Dilemma, and our drummer was this really preppy, fortunate kid who went to Bishop Ireton High School in Alexandria. Dave Grohl went to school, ironically, and he was so torn between being a pop punk guy and like a burgeoning, ready-to-go frat boy, and that was his Dave Matthews persona. And he always wanted to like wear Dave Matthews T-shirts to our shows, and we were like, "Dude, come on!"
No, I can't do that.
We want to be cool like Green Day. We want to be misfits. You can't wear that shirt. But Dave Matthews is insanely talented. I loved him even then. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I love the studio recordings and even some of the stuff, the Tim Reynolds albums that he did. But I did go to see him live one time, and like he makes his 3-minute songs 19 minutes, and I can't get behind that at all. Some people like live for that and love all the improv they do and stuff. And too, I mean, as a musician, I respect it. I think it's really difficult to do, but it's like that's like 5 more songs you could be playing in the time it takes you to play one song. Just not for me.
The thing about Lisa Loeb, though, is that when Stay got in the charts, it was, to me, more of like an alternative, buzzworthy on MTV kind of artist. So I latched right onto her. I just thought she was so cute and just cool and nerdy and obscure, but still so poppy and infectious.
Yeah, she's a pretty amazing songwriter. All right, your next song is "Walking on Sunshine" by Katrina and the Waves.
I'll turn that up.
Okay. All right, ready for the last one? Is "Diary of Jane" by Breaking Benjamin.
I actually don't know that song.
I really don't want to sing to you, being how good of a singer that you are. I usually would, but it's...
It's really tortured, angsty, and maybe with a hint of nu metal.
Yeah, well, Breaking Benjamin, I could admit that, that's a band, as soon as you hear the guy singing, he's got that kind of Creed voice that, I'm not into at all. But, again, they were a band that my wife was into, and the more I hear it, the more I'm like, okay, this isn't all that bad. So that's kind of the reason I put it down on the list here.
I mean, I kind of hate to be the eternal optimist, but I'm inclined to turn them all up.
Hey, we've the last interview I did, I had a news reporter for Philadelphia, and she turned them all up. So
you should ask me about Journey and expose my alien nature. I'm the only person on Earth who doesn't just love Journey.
Oh yeah?
Yep, turn it down.
So, okay, is it because
I don't know why.
"Don't Stop Believing" is played by every cover band, when you walk into a bar? Or
no, that doesn't bother me. It's a paradox for me because it is just glaringly obvious. The musicianship is world class. Steve Perry was a genius. The new guy is a god. Like, they're so talented. The songs are undeniable. Why don't I love it? I don't get it.
I cannot help you figure that one out because I'm huge on Journey.
And the worst part of it all was when we were on tour promoting the Runner stuff, the three of us would go and do a lot of radio appearances and promotional stuff, just as the three of us doing acoustic stuff, courting the radios stations. And one night, near the beginning of this process, we did a show in Fort Myers, Florida, and the after party was at this really fun beach bar where it was a karaoke-themed party. And one of the other artists, Ryan Starr, was called to do karaoke. And the DJ, the program director, was pitching the songs to the artists to sing, and he got "Don't Stop Believin'." And he was like, "Oh man, like Ryan's an amazing singer, like big voice.
Right.
He kind of sounds like Neil Diamond or something like that, with like a rocker version, like Neil Diamond. Neil Diamond meets Chris Daughtry. Is like the way I see him.
Okay.
But what a jerk. He got "Don't Stop Believin'," and it was like, "I can't do this alone," and pointed right at me. He was like, "I heard you sing tonight. You can do this." Like, damn it. This is like my worst nightmare. So I got up and did "Don't Stop Believin'" on karaoke.
And how was that experience for you?
It was fine. I had enough tequila shots at that point to accept
okay.
my blasphemous, hypocritical nature. So
please tell me someone got that on film.
Probably. I don't know.
All right. Well, the last thing we do here is the book of questions, okay? There's 200 questions in this book, and some of them are kind of odd. Some of them are easy. I need you to pick a number between 1 and 200, and I will ask you the corresponding question.
69, dude.
69. Bill and Ted. All right. If a friend were almost always late, would you resent it or simply allow for it? Can you be counted on to be on time?
Wow. Okay, so this is a multifaceted question. It depends on whether or not you live in Los Angeles, first of all.
Okay.
That's the latter part. I can be counted on to be on time.
I can vouch for that.
But sometimes I live right in the stretch of the 101 that is plagued by traffic in the heart of Hollywood, so there are days where I'm just a little bit late. Fortunately, people respect and understand that in this area, and if you make allowances, you can work around it. I've had friends that are both fashionably late and religiously late and abominably late, and sometimes that's just the way people are, and you gotta work with it. In Runner, I hate to throw John under the bus, but he was always the guy that was still doing his hair when we were ready to get in the van and roll out to a show or wherever we had to be. So we'd almost always assemble like 20 minutes early and then just start bugging him to get in the car like 10 minutes after that. So the honking would ensue, throwing stuff at his window, the whole 9 yards. But,
because you got to do it with a guy in that situation. You got to tell him a half hour earlier than the time you really got to leave.
That's what we did.
All right. So, all right. Well, Peter, thanks so much for doing this. Check out petermunters.bandcamp.com and Munters is spelled Munters.
Actually, if you head directly to www.petermunters.com, that is it's a link that kind of covers up my Tumblr blog site, but it has everything there. Like the SoundCloud stream is right there. You can get to Bandcamp. You can do all of that stuff. And the album is also live on iTunes now and should be on Amazon and some other vendors this week. So
awesome! Can't wait to see what happens with it. And I love the music and continued success. All right.
Thank you, Joey. Thank you very much for this.
You got it. Good talking to you.
All right. Talk soon.